I'm 71 now, and I thought I knew what peace felt like. After my first wife passed, I spent years convinced that kind of happiness was a one-time thing. Then I met Clara. She was warm, steady, and after we married, we built 23 years of quiet contentment together. We had our routines: morning coffee on the porch, grocery shopping on Saturdays, old movies on rainy afternoons. I'd tell myself, asterisk, this is it. This is the calm you waited your whole life for, asterisk. But peace has a way of fooling you. It started with small things. Clara would get a text and turn her phone slightly away from me, just a few degrees, but enough. Or she'd smile at her screen in a way I couldn't place, not the smile she used with me, but something softer, more private. I noticed she kept her phone face down on the table, and if I walked into the room while she was on it, she'd set it aside a little too quickly. At first, I told myself I was being paranoid. You get to a certain age, and you start looking for trouble where there isn't any. I loved her. I trusted her. I let it go. But the mind doesn't let things go that easily. The unease just moves deeper, settles in your bones like a chill you can't shake. One afternoon, Clara went out to run errands. I was in the bedroom, looking for a book I'd loaned her, and I opened her nightstand drawer. That's when I saw it, a second phone, tucked beneath some old photographs. I stared at it for a long time before I picked it up. It was older than the one she used every day, but it was charged, turned on. And when I opened the messages, the world I thought I lived in just dissolved. There were texts from a man named Thomas. There were texts from a woman named Sarah and a man named Michael, both calling Clara Mom. They talked about holidays, about visits, about missing her. They talked about Thomas, too, about how he was doing, how he still asked about her. And I realized, standing there in the quiet bedroom of the home we'd shared for over 2 decades, that my wife had a whole other life. A husband. Children. A family she'd never once mentioned to me. I sat on the edge of the bed for what felt like hours. I thought about all the times she'd asked me about my first marriage, all the conversations we'd had about our pasts. I told her everything: the grief, the loneliness, the slow process of healing. And she listened, nodded, held my hand, all while keeping this locked inside her. When she came home, I was still sitting there, the phone in my hands. She saw it and stopped in the doorway. Her face didn't go pale or twist with guilt. It just went still, like she'd been expecting this moment for years. I asked her who Thomas was. She sat down across from me and told me the truth. Thomas was her first husband. Sarah and Michael were their children. They'd divorced when the kids were young, but they'd stayed close, co-parents, friends, something more complicated than either of those words can hold. She said she hadn't told me because she was afraid. Afraid I'd think she was still in love with him. Afraid I'd see the complexity of her past and decide it was too much. Afraid that after 23 years, I'd leave. I listened to her, and what I felt wasn't anger. It was something worse, a deep, hollow grief. I told her, Clara, the truth would never have hurt as much as 23 years of lies. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just got up, walked to the guest room, and closed the door. After that, something shifted in me. I stopped being able to reach for her. She'd try to hold my hand and my fingers wouldn't curl around hers. She'd come to the guest room doorway at night, and I'd pretend to be asleep. She told me she'd cut off contact with Thomas and the kids entirely, that she'd do anything to fix this, but I looked at her and realized I couldn't see the woman I'd married anymore. Behind her face, I kept seeing all those years of secrets, and I didn't know how to unsee them. One night, I woke up around 2 in the morning. The house was dark and still. I got up for water, and as I passed the living room, I heard her voice, low and soft. She was on the phone. I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but I stopped when I heard her say, "I miss you, Thomas." I know I shouldn't, but I do. I stood there in the dark hallway, and I felt something in my chest finally let go. Not in a dramatic way, just a quiet release, like a door I'd been holding shut slowly swinging open. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even hurt anymore. I just understood. I had been a chapter in her life, but I was never the whole book. And I deserved to be someone's whole book. The next morning, I packed a small bag. Clara saw me and immediately started pleading. She said she'd change, she'd do anything, she couldn't lose me. I told her the truth as gently as I could. Clara, you were never really alone. You always had them in your heart, even if you kept them hidden. But me, I've been alone in this marriage for a long time without knowing it. And I can't stay in a place where I'm just the man you come home to, but not the man you truly live with. I walked out the door, and for the first time in months, the air felt clean. I found a small apartment near the park. It's quiet, simple. I have my books, my morning coffee, my walks. It's not the life I planned, but it's honest. After a few weeks, I reached out to Sarah and Michael, not to confront them, just to introduce myself. They were kind. They told me their mother loved me, but that Thomas had always been a presence in their lives, and they'd never known how to navigate it. We've met a few times now. They're good people. And somehow, knowing them has given me a kind of peace I didn't expect. I still think about Clara. I still miss her in a quiet way, like an old song you can't quite forget. But I've learned that love without honesty is just a story we tell ourselves to feel safe. And at 71, I don't want safety anymore. I want truth. I want to end my years knowing that what I had was real, even if it was brief. Even if it ended. Because a short truth is worth more than a lifetime of lies. And I'd rather be alone with that clarity than spend another day inside someone else's fiction.